Hi, I'm Jamie Loudon. I work with WATTSHOP, so we are specialists in aerodynamic equipment for cyclists, so like components but also aerodynamic testing. So we're here today at Derby Velodrome to try to optimise Harry's position.
Sound was on.
It's quite steep. The day has finally come. I have been super excited about this and I cannot wait to get going. We are here at the Derby Arena with WATTSHOP and we are going to be doing an aero session on the bikes. Make sure I'm getting super dialed, and man, I just can't wait. I've never been to a velodrome before though, so I might fall off. It's part of the fun, isn't it? So anyway, let's crack on and show you guys exactly, behind the scenes, show you what goes on and talk about any changes that I'm going to make over the next few hours.
Just go.
Here's Guy.
Here's a guy.
Here's a guy.
Yo!
So basically got some sensors on his bike. We're going to be measuring his power, his speed, his position on the track to try to figure out his CDA, so basically his drag coefficient, and then we're going to try to optimise that through the session. Definitely got a few things in mind that I'd like to try with him. Hopefully it comes out okay. Basically we're going to test small changes and see if they're faster or they're slower. If they're faster, we'll keep going with them, and if they're slower, we'll bin them off. Ideally, at the end of the session, we'll have something which is a fair bit faster than where we started from. Okay, so WATTSHOP is, we started off as a component manufacturer, so we make basically high-end cycling equipment. So essentially extensions and cranksets for time trialling for triathlon. We started off working with Dan, so Dan Bigham was the inventor of the first set of components, and we've been refining it ever since then. Definitely starting more on the road side of things, working with some pro teams, so the UnoX pro team, so men and women's team are both using our equipment. And then in the last couple of years we've been branching into triathlon, so you might have seen some of the WATTSHOP equipment on some of the top riders, so I know the Brownlees are riding it, and some of the Hoob athletes as well. Definitely Fernando Langridge as well. And then we've been offering aero testing as well for these riders, so trying to, once you've got the great equipment, you need to make sure that it's in the right position for you. So we've been doing a lot of equipment and positional testing for them.
How's it going?
Tired. I'm really tired.
How many watts are you saving?
Don't actually know. Hopefully loads. Otherwise the next race won't be fun.
What, next week, you mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Do as I say, not as I do. Don't change your bike position a week before a race.
I'm going to change everything on your bike.
Yeah. I'm doing this as an experiment so you guys can see what not to do. There you go.
Okay, so I feel like there was like a bit of a disconnect almost, like quite early on.
Yeah.
But like this definitely looked better than that. So I just like I feel like maybe your Pammies like played around a little bit.
Yeah.
Or like you actually backed off the power a bit, so you're going a bit slower here anyway. So
yeah,
so maybe like when you're like going faster, your CDA is a bit lower anyway. So it could be a bit of that. But anyway, like at least at first we saw getting you like super narrow didn't make you any faster, and like your head kind of popped up a tiny bit.
Yeah. So is higher on here better or lower?
No, you want to be lower on here.
Okay, alright.
So I'd almost feel like this kind of like went from like this kind of position. Like I feel like I'm confident that this position was faster than these, even though it's not come out because it just looked loads better.
Yeah.
So that was with your angle up, which I definitely like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then actually once we'd got everything higher, getting you narrow did work then.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're like a little bit narrower than to start with, but not like completely squeezed together.
Yeah.
And then coming down like 10 mil didn't was a little bit faster.
Yeah.
Coming down with your saddle again like a little bit faster, but then like once your front could come down again.
Yeah.
So it's almost like we went down, saddle down, down again.
Right.
And then that's like a really big jump.
Okay.
From where you were, like compared to if we take that as like the starting point down to there.
What would that be in like
So
watts?
in terms of watts, at at 40 kilometers now, you're looking at like 9 watts at 40 kilometers now that you're probably going a bit faster than that.
Okay.
A fair bit of the time, so like 45, you're looking at like 12 watts. So it's not bad. Yeah.
Okay.
Worth having.
Worth having. Yeah.
And then after that, I don't think we really found it too much. Like going longer was slower. The chest camel pack, that was where we went back to the reach. That was exactly the same as before.
Okay.
But like with no cost at least, so it's not like slowing you down.
Okay.
The BTA bottle was super slow.
Yeah.
And again, like, I think probably just like forcing you a bit higher.
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, at the end, we didn't really find much. Like cuff guards were a bit slower.
Okay.
Helmets were all slower than your
Okay.
Met, which is not really a surprise. Like the Met, definitely seen it test fast in the past on people. Like that would be a helmet that I'd recommend people try anyway.
Okay.
It's not too surprised by that. So I think for you, like the main thing was getting like everything down a bit and getting you narrower.
Yeah.
Then don't be tempted to like try and stretch yourself out anymore.
Okay.
And then like general comments based on what testing that we've done would be again 1 by if you can.
Yeah. Okay.
Again probably GP 5000 TT tyres.
Right. Yeah.
You've got that again, like 1 by. Just copy some of those across.
How much in terms of like aerodynamic benefit does 1 by give you?
Can be quite a lot. Can be as much like 45 kilometers an hour, might be as much like 7 watts.
Okay.
It's really decent.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Definitely only run a front derailleur if you need one.
Yeah.
So I've been doing all of like hilly time trials in the UK with 62 on the front and then an 1134 cassette.
Okay.
And I can get up like short bits at like 7% of that.
Okay. Yeah.
But you don't need to go like as extreme as that. But like
yeah.
a 54 or 56 single speed is going to get you like with a big cassette on the back you can get over anything.
You get over most things. Yeah. Okay.
The bottle on the back, if you like are desperate to run it, I'd rotate it like as horizontal as you can get it and still get the bottle in.
Yeah.
So I think you can come around like another couple of degrees,
Yeah.
but it just seems like, from what we've seen anyway, that having it a bit lower can actually be faster.
Okay.
And having it sitting upright is definitely
slower.
slower. So it's like if you can get it lower, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd say that like definitely the frame bottle is not going to be faster.
Okay.
The rear bottle is probably fairly negligible as it is,
Yeah.
so you can have like a little bit in there.
Really matter. Yeah. Or maybe just leave it for like you pick up a bottle at an aid station or something.
Oh, is it working? Also, obviously have a think about what kind of race it is as well, if you're trying to make packs or not.
Yeah.
So obviously, camelback down the front is fine if you're not that bothered.
Yeah.
Whereas if you are trying to hold on, if you're trying to hold on to someone's feet, then it does matter.
Yeah.
But like that would just depend on the race. If it's a race that you're not, if it's a not a stacked race, you're probably faster without. If it is a race where you need to be on, you need to be in packs, then potentially have to like factor that in as well.
Okay, yeah.
Not that there's any drafting in triathlon. Non-drafting.
Just got home. It's been a long day, 6:30. So yeah, that was hard work. Very tired, but really cool day. Nearly fell off a few times, which was interesting, but managed to keep rubber on the ground. Much to James's annoyance, because I'm sure that would have looked funny on the vlog. But yeah, we found some extra gains, which is cool. But it was also nice to actually verify that my position was already pretty good. We just needed to make a few little tweaks here and there. So went through some really cool stuff. A few bit of specific things to go through. We essentially dropped the pads by 20 mil, which is quite a lot. So took out a lot of spaces. We dropped the saddle by 10 mil because apparently my saddle height was a bit too high. What else did we do? We moved my pads slightly closer together. And we did test a few different helmets. Luckily, the helmet that I've got tested fastest, which means a new helmet is not added to the shopping list, which is fantastic, because this is the problem with doing these things, is if you find something's quicker, you'll need to then go and buy it. So luckily I've got the quickest helmet, which is the VELODROME. For me anyway, it's obviously very personal. We tested with a little bit further forward reach. That didn't make any kind of difference. You'll see that we tested with a towel down the chest, which kind of mimicked having a bladder down the chest, which a lot of people are doing now. They're putting like a camelback, sort of maybe 1.5 to 2 litres down their chest. And the idea there is that you don't need to get out of position. And it basically takes up the space between your chest and the top tube a little bit more. So it's actually more aerodynamic. However, for me, it didn't make any difference. But then we did test with the between the armrest bottle mount, and apparently that was slightly slower. So that's really interesting to know. A few different tweaks here and there. Essentially, going forward, they've mentioned a few other things. I can continue to test with lowering my saddle because they think that it can go down another 10 mil. And that means then I could also reduce my front end by 10 mil as well, if we're reducing both of it at the same rate, essentially, which will be the same position, but lower down, so more aerodynamic. They've also mentioned one by. I've got a 55-42 on this and 11-28. However, for most courses, I probably don't need the small ring as long as I've got enough rings on the cassette. So what I might do is go one by, maybe go 56 or 58, and then like 11-32 on the back. That may mean getting a new rear mech that's slightly longer, but it means if you can take this front mech off, that'll make it a lot more aerodynamic as well. A few other things they mentioned, continuing to try and get narrower if I can, and maybe a little bit longer, but that didn't actually make much of a difference. So yeah, it's nice to know that there's good benefits here. I've maybe saved, I can't remember what he mentioned, maybe 12 to 15 watts today. So it's not outrageous, but I'll take 12 to 15 watts. So it means I don't have to work harder. It means that I'm confident in my position. It means that hopefully I can get onto the run feeling a little bit fresher. You know, you're saving watts. Means that, yeah, hopefully, you know, you don't have to put out as much effort, or the effort that you do put out gets you more in return, and that return is obviously speed. So yeah, really exciting. A few different things to tweak around with. I'm going to try and make this rear cage and bottle angled a little bit more. Apparently that's going to be more aerodynamic. And I'll try and figure out the front hydration system. I may have to go with a BTA mount, which apparently was slightly slower for me. The reason for that is because I don't necessarily want to go for a camelback, like a bladder down my chest. The reason is for front pack swimmers, like people like Sam Laylow, Tom Bish, people like that, it's quite a good idea because they're already out in the front. And so they have maybe a few extra seconds to waste putting a bladder down their chest. I'm always someone who's chasing on to those front feet and that front pack. And so I don't really have any time to waste when it comes to putting a bladder down my chest. And I just feel like I could risk losing the front of the bike, you know, those front guys, just for the sake of putting a bladder down my chest, which would save me a few watts. Whereas the BTA mount with the bottle already there, maybe it'll lose me a few watts, but then I'd also be in the pack. There's these things you need to weigh up, and you need to think actually what's going to be more convenient for you. I also tried the calf guards. apparently they were slower on me, which is funny because they're meant to be quicker for like everyone, so that's hilarious. But yeah, really, really happy with the position. I just need to dial it in, ready for obviously next weekend. So we've made quite a few changes now. It does feel slightly weird dropping my saddle by that much, so I'm just going to get on the bike, make sure I'm feeling good ahead of next weekend, Challenge Wales. Really, really looking forward to it. And yeah, just can't wait to get further aero optimized. I've got some numbers behind me now. We'll get training, we'll get going again, and maybe we'll retest in the future. But yeah, thanks so much for watching this video, guys. Really, really hope you enjoyed it. Comment in the comment section below, and don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe if you haven't done already. And I'll see you in the next video.